Hi, I'm Raj Garcia, and welcome back to the School of Life Force podcast. So, in this episode, I want to introduce myself. I want to tell you about me and go down memory lane a little bit and tell you what I'm about, what I've been doing for most of my life. So, for most of my life, I have played a great role in being the right hand man for someone. I've done it with family, I've done it at work. I'm doing it as a coach, consultant, a guide. I'm that trusted person who's there, right? You know, when you were younger and you had that one best friend who you loved to be around, who was just there, who was supportive. You know, you might have done your thing and been dancing around everywhere. You had this friend there supporting you, there for you. That's me. And professionally, I have a background in business intelligence. I worked in corporate career in that field of business intelligence. And what that means is using insights, information, and enabling the business to make better decisions based off the data, based off research, based off analytics, whatever. I was the guy who orchestrated some of this. I was the guy who was in between the business and the tech solutions. So how do we get this stuff done? How do we have a solution? Okay, we need a team of people who can create that solution. That's one side. And the people asking for these things, asking the questions, like how do we become better as a business? How do we operate more effectively? How do we serve our customers better? How are our finances doing? All the numbers, all the insights, all of that stuff. They want to know. They have questions. I was the guy in between. I would talk to the business, figure out what they want, figure out what drives success. And speaking to the human, right? The person in the role who wants to do a good job, supporting them, their drivers, and their drivers that support the business. And then going and getting a solution made that serves the purpose. That's what I did for 12 years. You know, so the work I do as a consultant, as a coach now, as a personal coach, is connected to that in a way. Because I was managing projects, I was managing requirements, and now I'm doing that on a personal level. You know, people have requirements too. In our lives, we have requirements. Okay, I want to be healthier. I want to be fitter. I want to be happier. I want to be more peaceful inside. I want better relationships. I want finances to improve. I want to create a business. I want to create a strategy. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I want to just be. I want to be most effective. I want to live the fullest life. All of that stuff. I've been doing that in the corporate sense, in a way, right? And I've been doing that for myself. So, corporate sense, I was the right hand man to these people. You know, I'd have managers and people, even at the director level, the board level, who would want things, right? They want stuff. People running the company would come and say, hey, I want this thing. And I'd be there to figure out how we can serve them. Can I serve them? How can I get teams to serve them? How can we create solutions? I've been that right hand man, that trusted consultant, that person that figures out how to provide that insight, the reports, the data, the information. How do we serve to get these questions answered, right? To get these solutions happening. So I've been used to being that right-hand man. And then now I'll do it also with individuals or groups in my own business now. I love to play the right-hand man. You know, it's beautiful to have someone there that you can trust, someone that's going to help. I love to play that role. You know, let's even go back a little further. When I was younger, and my sister, only 2 years older than me, my sister um, always wanted to play and do things, and she took the lead, right? She had all these ideas, and she's very creative. She's like, let's do this, let's do that. And I'd be the supporter of her. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. Be her right-hand man. I'll be the one there. She wants to do something, cool. I'm down. I'm down to support no matter what. You know, so I've played that role. I love that role. And I found even people like friends have confided in me. They'd love to talk to me about things. Because again, I'm listening. I'm so used to being in that place where I'm in service of someone, right? And doing this professionally now just makes sense. Might as well do it as a profession, right? So I went on my own path. Let's say I went down a very deep path of first it started with fitness. Because here's the dark side of this being this right hand man to everyone. It meant I didn't really know myself well enough. I didn't really empower myself that much, right? Because it's like, cool, I'm going to empower others. I'm going to support. I'm going to be the Robin to the Batman. Really good at being Robin. But then what about Robin? What about his story? So I had to play with that. You know, there's a lot of confidence challenges. Even looking at my body, I was challenged with this, how it looked and stuff like that, right? So I got into um, fitness because my mind was fast. You know, with all these inner challenges, my mind was fast and it felt anxious all the time. I lived in fight or flight quite a lot, actually, because I was like against myself. You know, some even growing up, you know, I won't go too much into that, but growing up, I felt like I wasn't fitting into groups and I wasn't fitting in as a person. Felt like I was rejected, right? A few things happened when I was younger where I have some memories of not fitting in and feeling like I didn't feel comfortable, feeling like I was getting rejected. You know, all of those things I'm sure it played into this role of, okay, I'm gonna be great at helping others feel comfortable. I'm gonna be great at helping others shine. All right, that story that I had of me feeling insecure and rejected, great, it helped me to be better with others. But again, there's the dark side of it, which made me feel like, who am I? Who am I to do anything? Like the confidence thing was a big challenge. So I went on this path with fitness, like I said, um, and it felt amazing because it was the first time in my life that I was able to actually do something empowering for me, right? I was able to change my state of being, my energy levels. It was amazing. It was like a game. And the other thing I didn't mention was I loved to play video games when I was younger. So this thing of fitness and bodybuilding, actually specifically, I started with. It was like, wow, I lift these weights and look, my muscles get bigger. And then look, I figured out how to grow them by eating better. Oh, if I eat these things, it supports this muscle growth. Wow, this is cool. It was a science, right? I love playing with science experiments. That's another thing I loved when I was younger. So I was like, I get to be my own scientist of my body. This is fascinating. I really got into it. Just reading research papers, learning things, when there wasn't even that much information out there. I started when I was about 18 or so, really getting into this stuff. 18 to 21, I was just like so into it. So I trained and I got some really good mentors, some people who were showing me how to use my body. I was learning from them, how to grow muscles, how to be fitter. That's what happened after this. Muscles led to how can I be fitter in general? And how can I just change my energetic state? That's where it started to grow, right? I can change my energetic state. Look, I feel alive and calm and empowered when I do these kind of exercises, when I eat these kind of foods. Wow, when I work with this sleep routine, when I have these little things in place. Wow, I was fascinated by it. And I kept doing it, but then there's a dark side again. Like I said, there's a dark side. There's a potential dark side anyway to a lot of things. It became this routine which helped me, but it became this thing where I was just doing the same old thing and I wasn't really penetrating deep enough into the mind stuff. Those challenges I mentioned about confidence. Okay, I felt great. I looked great. I looked amazing, actually. A body that you could dream of. But inside, it was like, I still have this insecurity. So, like I went down this path where I felt quite isolated. I was going to the gym alone most of the time. I had a training partner for the first few years, but then that fizzled away. It was great doing that, by the way, learning from these great people. But then it was like I was doing it on my own, started to feel isolated, just the same old stuff. I was learning, I was getting better at stuff. I was trying different things like boxing, CrossFit, powerlifting, really fun, but still it's like isolation, right? So then, in one of my jobs that I was in, I was, I think I was 25 at the time. Something was growing in me, right? Something was really growing in me. This, some seed was planted. I don't know how it got planted, but it was planted. I was coming out of a relationship that I'd been in for like at least 6 years, I think 5 years. It was still going on at the time, but there were some challenges, right? And me as a man, I was growing up as well. I'd done some traveling um, with friends, and this desire to travel moved through me, right? I kept watching YouTube videos, wishing, oh, wow, this is so cool. I want to do this. All these documentaries that you watch. Um, you watch all these documentaries and it's like, whoa, this looks so cool. And I'd been doing that for a few years, at least 3 years. I'd just been watching things. While I was on this personal growth journey, this whole personal growth journey started when I started lifting weights, right? When I was about 18, 19, 20. It started slow. And then it opened up new possibilities. Like I said, oh, look what I can do with my body. Look how I can feel. With that came this opening of the mind. I was still having the same challenges, but I was more open to trying things new. So eventually I had this time off planned, right? I had 2 weeks off. I remember it distinctly. It was November. And by the way, I love going away in November. It's been a theme for a while. Anyway, it was November and I had 2 weeks off work. And a standard thing is you get a certain amount of time off work and you have to use them, right? You use it or lose it, they say. So I think I got 25 days off a year I could use. I'd used quite a lot of it, not really done much with it, not, that much. Um, I'd gone on some holidays with friends, had some fun. I always wanted to travel alone, right, to test myself. I didn't have the courage to do it. But this November time, 2 weeks off with no plans. And I kept looking at things online like, let me look for flights, let me look for flights. And I was kind of secretly hoping that I wouldn't find anything. So I don't have to follow through and go through with this crazy idea of going to travel alone, right? So eventually I find this deal. There's this website called Hot UK Deals or something. I was looking at it one time, just randomly actually, just popped into it. And it said one direct flight to Thailand for 2 weeks on the exact days that I was off. Crazy. And it was like £200. It was like one of the deal of the centuries, deal of the years. And the way this website works is like people post a deal and it gets a number of like hits. So it gets red hot. That's why it's called Hot UK Deals. This deal was so hot. It was at like the highest level of hot. People were like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." And I was like, "This what? Where's this come from?" So I knew this was going to sell out, right? So the anxiety started building. The anxious Raj was like, "Oh my god, yeah, yeah, you can do this, but no, 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 don't do it." I kept playing on my laptop and just saying, "Oh, you can do it. Let's go do it." No, 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 let's not do it. It's in between, not committing, right? And I knew I was going to go. So I'd go to sleep praying that it was still there the next day, but still secretly like hoping it goes away so I don't have to go. Like going against myself in ways, right? It's like a part of me was like, no, no, this is crazy. Like, can't go alone. Don't do this. Yeah, the deal will probably disappear. It's fine. But then I was wishing it didn't. Right, my heart was like, no, I want to go. Eventually, I got the courage somehow. I stayed up until like midnight, staring at the screen every hour, like refreshing the page. Is it still there? Is it still there? And it was like a week before, I think it's like less than a week before the flight was due to leave. And I had the time off, right? And then I booked it. As soon as I booked it, like no joke, as soon as I booked it, I realized I got the last ticket of a whole plane. I don't know how many people are on a plane. I'm guessing like, I don't know, 300 or so. I got the last ticket on the plane. There was nothing left after that. Crazy, right? And that changed everything. Because I went to take that trip and I was unleashed, just me. No one else, no expectations, no way to be, no plans even. I just showed up. I booked the first few nights. And that's what I read from all these things online. Try just freestyle it. I've never done that before. But I thought, let me try it, freestyle it. It was amazing. It was amazing. So many things happened on that trip. I can go into that in more detail another time, but it was amazing. Anyway, still at the job next year, June this time. Same thing happens. I got time off, 2 weeks. This time I go to Peru, right? Similar anxiety. I go to Peru. Mind blowing. Changed my life. Things permanently shifted. Not because of the place, because I was empowering myself to go and do what I want, right? Anyway, that was helping me with the mind stuff. And then I remember this yoga class being set up at work. Work yoga. In between lunch breaks, I think. um, Something like that. Like it was like 1 p.m. So you go downstairs. It was so easy. Like if you're busy, you just go downstairs for 1 hour and you pop into the class, literally in the floor downstairs. Easy. that yoga class opened up something huge in me. I tell this story quite a lot that I only really went because I was like, yeah, there's going to be some good-looking girls there. And there was one good-looking girl that I was like, yeah, I like her. I want to go to this class. I wasn't interested in yoga that much, right? I was like, this is not really for me. I'm a weightlifter. I'm a brute, right? I'm a machine. I'm a CrossFitter. I'm fit. I like to move. But it turns out yoga is very hard. That's what I realized. Like, wow, I'm sweating so much. I'm so uncomfortable. It's so hard. It was for me at the time anyway. I wasn't built that way, right? Anyway, that yoga class, I kept going to it because I was like, oh, I tried it out once and I was like, wow, this is something feels good. I don't know what, but something feels good. Anyway, the more I got into it, the more I noticed something changing in me. I was relaxing for the first time. I was feeling a different kind of relaxation than before. Right at the end of class, the resting pose, Shavasana, I was blissed out. I was like, wow, it's like a massage times 10, even better. And the thing is, with this sensitive energy I had, the whole thing with anxiety and all of that is, again, it's a superpower with the dark side. The superpower I realized is I'm very connected to my energy. So I was getting so much from that class that maybe other people wouldn't have. It was really helping me. And basically, I got into more of that path, let's say, the body path, you can call it. The body, spirit, mind connection. That's what yoga was doing for me. Because I got into meditation and breath work after that. Really learned, right? I started reading books about it. I read The Power of Now, my first book. I think that was before I did all of this yoga class anyway. But it opened me up. And I say my first book because it's like the first book I read as an adult. I didn't read any books before that, I wasn't interested. I was like, books are boring. I read that book and then I was getting into this path and I started reading more books about yoga, about spirituality, about how to use your body, about how the psychology works. I got introduced to the psychology, all these blocks and challenges, and what is this thing that I've lived with for most of my life, anxiety? How does it work? I really wanted to know, how does all of this stuff work, and move past it, right? I became like a mad scientist because I was really well versed in the area of body, nutrition, energy, through all of the stuff I was talking about before, the fitness. I loved it, right? And now I got to connect it with this whole spiritual and mind side. The combination of the two, energy, physical body, as well as how does that connect to my mind? It was fascinating for me. Literally felt like a science experiment again. I told you I love science experiments. So I was the experiment. I was running tests. I was trying things. And that's one of the things that really helped me actually over the years, is to test and try things. I was trying breath work without anyone telling me how you do it. Well, no, let me change that actually. I was looking at forums online, I was reading books, I was watching YouTube. So I had some guidance. I had some people saying this is what you should do, this is how you should try it, this is what it does. Um, but then just doing it myself, right, and learning, rather than this is the right answer from what a theory might say, what theoretical practice might say. This is how you do it, right? This is what is true, this is what is not true. I wanted to learn for myself. I wanted to feel it. Let me try this thing. Let me observe. And that's the other thing about this whole hypersensitive mind of mine. I got to use it now. as a tool. I got to say, okay, I have this hypersensitive mind. Let me use this thing. Let me use this thing to help me rather than this thing is going against me, right? And this whole intuitive and sensitive part of me, I got to use that too. I run these experiments and I look inside. Ooh, what was that doing? Let me take this action. Let me go back in. Let me go do stuff. Let me go back in. Do and be, right? And see, just like an experimenter would do. So yeah, there's a lot of things that happened. So reading more books, trying more things, and learning about myself. And then eventually I took a long trip to travel around the world. Just put my charger in 1 second. I went to travel around South America and Asia. I basically told my boss I want to take some time off. Because what started happening was I started becoming more of a yes man, more open minded. Started trying things, socializing in different ways, started dating all different types of girls, like all different flavors and sizes and shapes. I started trying different modalities of learning, reading more books. I was having a very experimental time, as that scientist. So I knew I'd test run these 2 trips alone to Thailand and Peru, like I said. And now I got to do this thing where I could take out more time. So I traveled around for 3 months. It was meant to be, sorry, it was meant to be 6 months, I think, or 3 months or 6 months. And then I come back to work. My boss calls me up saying they made everyone redundant, including him. So you can either come back and you can get another job internally because your job's made redundant, or you could just forget about it. And I was like, of course, I'm not coming back. So I was having the time of my life. I'm not going back to interview for a new job. No. So I left it there, right? Long story short, I didn't do any work for about 2 years nearly. Traveled around Asia, around South America. I came back a few times. I took some time to myself. I worked on myself. I took this stuff to a next level, right? I really, really went deep on the personal development, looking at the yogic practices, the body, neuroscience, psychology, all of it, spiritual aspects, all of it, and mashing it together to really get how this works, right? Not just for me, but for humanity. I wanted to know this truth, the what are we made of? I wanted to know all the answers. What are we made of and how do we live fully? How do we have peace? How do we become successful? All of that stuff. So anyway, I decided after that I wanted to help others. It was oozing out of me. It was bursting out of me, right? So this thing I talked about right at the beginning. I'm an amazing right-hand man. Now I had this empowerment within myself as well, right? So now I'm going to empower others. I'm going to be this right-hand man. I want to be this trusted person that people can have in their life. I'm going to be their professional coach, their professional mentor, their professional consultant, whatever really, advisor. I don't know. You can decide. Some of my clients will decide what I am for them. All they know is that I'm there to help them to have whatever they want in life. So I took some training. I went on some training courses. One was to be a personal trainer because I wanted to refine those skills. And I wanted to really test myself. I wanted to say, yeah, if I know all this stuff, let me see. Let me get the qualification. Why not? It was awesome. Another qualification was to be a mindfulness and meditation teacher. Officially, get a proper training, right? Official training, really good one as well. I think it's approved by the British Psychological Society. Really good. That was so helpful as well. And then I took another course um, at this place called Animas called Transformational Coaching. And that is to really learn how to help people, how to use my voice, how to use conversation, different exercises you can do. I learned a lot from that place and it changed something in me. It gave me that push to actually go and do this thing. Because they tell you go and practice with people, get some practice clients. And I went out and did that really well, right? And then I started charging, started getting better and better, refining my skills, becoming better at all of this stuff that I talked about earlier, learning how to help others with it. And I guess like the long story short is that's where I am today. You know, that's where I am where you're listening to this right now, is I'm just getting better and better. I've run groups, I've done some talks in organizations, I've supported leaders, I've supported entrepreneurs, I've supported just someone who just wants to have peace in their life. I've helped people have better energy. I've helped people slow down and become present. There's a lot of stuff that I help people with, but the bulk of it is bringing out more of ourselves. This this poise, this calm but still powerful and potent. I want people to live in this potency of their full expression. Whatever we think is possible and more. That's usually what happens. And when we let go of this noise and this mind stuff, just like I told you about myself, when I let go of this mind stuff, and when I'm helping other people let go of this mind stuff, then what's left when that smoke and all these clouds and noises is moved, or we can see through the noise, is there's this gold and this potential, this fire, right? This fire that can burst out, and it's so powerful. So that's the work, and then figuring out how do we want to use that. Like people will literally tell me their life that they want to create. They'll say, "Whoa, I would love for this," and I'm like, "Okay, cool, let's make that happen." And they're like, "What? You're so confident. You make it sound easy." And I say, "Yeah, this I am confident because I've been able to see that for myself. I've done the work on myself and I continue to. So now I see so many possibilities. It's not a theory, it's a practice, all these experiments. I've run experiments, right? With others, with myself. So I've got a lot of experience now. Even in the corporate field, right? Like I said, I was doing this kind of work for 10 years, or was it 12 years, something like that. Um, where I was doing similar things. I was figuring out what people want, turning it into a project managing, gathering requirements, finding solutions, making it happen. And now it's that work, but mixed with the inner frame of us, right? The stance, mixing in with this intuition, wisdom, with the energy, optimizing the energy of the human, right? All of that stuff. And then creating some strategy and taking action, making these things happen. So that's what I do. Being that right hand man for most of my life has helped me because I love to be that person to help people now. People individually, groups, organizations, whatever. You know, I was so scared for most of my life to express myself confidently and say what I can help people with, right? But it's like if I let that me or that mind get in the way, I'm getting in the way of what's possible for people by using me as this conduit, right? I don't want to get in the way of that. I want to step into that. And that's exactly what I help other people do as well. So, that's a little bit about me. Other thing is, people tend to say that there's something about my voice. And again, it was a challenge of mine to speak. Social anxiety, I had a lot of challenges with speaking, saying something about myself, expressing. I felt suppressed for most of my life because it felt wrong to express myself. There's probably a load of memories where I was just being me and trying to be fun and wild or whatever, and I was suppressed. So I took it to heart, being the sensitive person, I took it to heart and said, it's not okay to be like this. So I'd locked that part of me away, right? I had to rediscover it and bring it out. I had to unlock the key. I had to find the key first. And I didn't realize I locked this thing away. That's why I had all this tension and anxiety because I locked away me, locked away the purest me. Of course, it feels scary because it's like an imposter was running the show. There's anxiety because of that. An imposter who's trying to fit in, who's trying to be someone he's not, right? So I found the key and I unlocked the key and I brought that me back home. And there's so much peace and joy in that. So this voice comes out magically like a musical tone. Not magically, powerfully. It roars out. It roars out from within through my body, moves through my entire body. You'll see the best public speakers, they are embodied, right? The best singers, the best performers, athletes, their whole frame is in it. And that's what I've learned to do with my voice. I can slow it down, I can speed it up, I can make it louder, I can change the tone, I can create pauses. And I love that art of that. It's fun. It's really, really fun. And not just with my voice, it's like with my actions, with my hands. How am I navigating through life? How am I doing things with my time? How have I planned this? What am I doing? How am I showing up moment to moment as that expression of this inner energy, right? So that's who I am. That's what I represent. I talk about life force. That life force is that power moving through the body, embodying all of me coming out. It can be used to create peace, to create success. Of course, right? If you're moving in a more powerful way, you get as much success as you want. You want to create more income, you want to create an impact in the world, start a business. Yeah, this stuff is what it's all about. That's what I've learned anyway. And that's why it seems to be people who are leaders, who want to create something in the world, love to have me as their right hand man. Because I love this stuff. I'm really good at it. And it feels great to own that, right? So that's a that's me. That's me in a quick, speedy route. I also have three sisters, and that's probably helped me to, a lot of my clients are women. Also coach men, but women and me seem to get along easily. Three sisters, sensitive, intuition. It seems to help. The part is like I've really had to go down this route of understanding the yin and yang, the feminine and masculine elements of us. Not a gender, I'm not talking about gender, I'm talking about the pure energy, feminine and masculine, yin and yang. Slowing down, going inside, being, connecting, feeling, and then going and taking actions powerfully, going for it. Both of those are necessary. And again, like athletes, singers, dancers, leaders, anyone that wants to do something, and all of us as humans in general, we're constantly going in between these things. We have the capability to unlock more of that. That's what I love as well. I love playing with that. Same for me, like with the yoga, with the slow down versions of yoga, like yin yoga and stuff like that. Um, with certain meditations, I'm really, really slowing inward. And then with things like the fitness and the action taking, I'm really switching on that fire and going for it, you know, holding back, going for it. Yin and yang, it's beautiful. It's a dance, in breath and out breath. So that's some of the things I represent. I have some pillars that I can show you if you're interested. I can tell you more about how this stuff works for me and how I'm showing others. There's some pillars that I've created which connect to all of this stuff with energy, with the presence, with action taking. And I found if all of these pillars are met, if we're working with them, then whoa, it's exactly how I've looked at my life. That's where these pillars came from. If I'm working in these pillars, wow, I get to hit all areas of life. And I don't know about you, but this thing of fulfillment, of full expression, of aliveness is not just about doing stuff and it's not just about being here and in the moment. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. So if you want to hear more about that, let me know and I'll send you them. It will show you how to kind of use them. If you want to know about this whole voice thing, the things, the journey I've gone down to use my voice and express myself, become more confident in my actions, in my words, then I got this voice mastery worksheet as well, which could be really useful. There's some exercises in there, there's some coaching, there's some questions, meditations, because I make some really good meditations, by the way. So there's a bunch of those things in there. So let me know if you want to check that out. Otherwise, I think that's all for now. That's all from me. And I hope that gives you a bit more insight into me and my journey. I love the game of bringing all worlds together. I can be very logical, very effective in creating things and strategy and speaking to people in certain ways, to help them create what they want. And I can be very inward focused. You can call some of that spiritual, heart focused. Both of those are needed. So, whatever speaks to you, let me know after you listen to this episode. I'd love to hear what is brought up for you, how you might be able to relate to some of the things I said. There's a bunch of things I probably missed out if I think about it now, but this probably gives you a good summary into me and my journey, why I'm doing what I'm doing. Anyways, let me leave it as that. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. So that's the School of Life Force, and that's about me and my journey. I'll see you later. Have a good one, and see you in the next episode.